100 days from the election now, less than. I have a hard time believing the Wayfair thing based on the Russia. Mostly anything dealing with Russia, I have a hard time to believe.
You fill 1,700 pages, and maybe you'll want to write more of them. I mean, everything we're talking about, you could have a page and a half.
And maybe they'd read more of them too.
Yeah.
Because the long form discussion is taking over these news segments, are taking over these spoon-fed, prepackaged media sound bites that we get every day.
Media. Yep.
Do you think anyone on the left should have been blamed for this?
The insurrection?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the entire media.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hey.
Quick. Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan. I am having, as usual, GoPro problems, so we don't know how long this is going to last for.
I got an opening monologue. Hi everybody.
He's got an opening monologue. Normally it isn't this hectic. However, we just got to get this done so I can move on to next week's decent camera. December 1773. The week ago, episode 60, I think. All the weeks how to stop us with a twist. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Ryan, opening monologue.
Yeah, opening monologue. First of all, we're recording on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, and dropping on Monday. So happy Monday evening, everybody.
Would not be able to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I will also sound like I was. Well, I'll leave it to another podcast. But, yeah, I'm going to sound like this for like a week after. So, Slipknot's coming to town. Hopefully it doesn't get rained out.
Does it sound like Christian Bale?
Yeah, where is she? December 1773. Alright, for real. First of all, if Slipknot's coming to town, I'm super excited for that. Second of all, a little birdie told me I curse a lot.
You do.
So what I'm going to do to myself and the audience is try to not say fuck so many times. So.
Do you want me to censor you? Would she, he or she, whoever the birdie is, would the birdie prefer I censor you?
No, he just brought it to my attention. So
there's a birdie named YouTube.
I just got to be better.
There's a theory about YouTube and curse words. I don't know if it's accurate or not.
Yeah, I'm sure sucking beer doesn't help. And I also know that, well, whatever. I'll be better. So that's going to be my pledge, I guess. Going forward, I'm going to try to curse less. I understand why he said it. It is a better listening experience.
Yeah, so. I do agree. All right, let's get into fucking headlines here.
Didn't say anything about Dave, though.
Headlines! Red flag gun confiscation passes the House of Representatives 316 to 113 with the support of 135 Republicans. That's good. For those who don't know, red flag gun confiscation means if you are reported for, like domestic violence or really anything. I mean, anyone can basically say whatever they want. And pretty much it just leaves it to the authorities whether or not they will strip you of your Second Amendment rights. Without, by the way, your fair and speedy trial that you also have a right to.
And a jury of your peers, God forbid that ever happen.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no conviction, no going to court, none of that. Just allegations, basically.
Allegedly.
Alleged allegations. It's a very, very dangerous concept that you can just allege somebody did something and then all their rights are gone. That's why we're not fans of the no-fly list idea, because there's no, you didn't get convicted of any crimes. You're just on an arbitrary list.
It's not a real list though. It's invisible. Yeah, they've said that.
No.
But Dave said that was one of their excuses and stuff, right? That it was like, oh, there's no list of people that don't fly, and then 6 months later, headlines! Congressional report investigates, finds out that there's a secret fucking mailing list.
That's weird. It's almost like everyone knew that anyway.
That's odd. It's weird that we had to spend millions of dollars and, some distractions for people to see it finally. Well, something came out like that this week, didn't it? Oh yeah, that's right. I sent that to you. Remember when we talked earlier this year about how there's baby food with arsenic in it? Well,
oh yeah,
headlines.
That might have even been last year.
Yeah,
it was a while ago.
Yeah, CNN. It admits that there's heavy metal in the baby food. The FDA, let it pass. They failed. They failed their inspection. The FDA, the Federal Drug and whatever else administration. But
without baby food, though, I mean, the babies could starve. I mean, I think we should do some type of emergency certification of the baby food so they at least have some type of food in the meantime.
Yeah, no, they gotta starve because women can't make breast milk anymore.
Because that's what we did. That's what we did for the vaccination. Which I'm fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here thinking that the FDA is the almighty. Quite frankly, under a Dave Corn presidency, FDA's out. Talk to you later, FDA. Last thing we need is unelected bureaucrats telling us what to do. With that said, though, it's pretty interesting that we totally ignore anything the FDA has to say about the coronavirus vaccines early on because we thought, well, this is just an emergency. We just need the vaccines. So we rush it through. It's safe.
I mean, they actually
happened. We just pushed to the side. Don't worry about that.
We say it every week, right, Dave? These people know what they're doing. We don't talk about this in public and everything, but make for such great conversations because people aren't having it, man. They know what they're doing. I mean, it started with everything, right? They're like, hey, get a donut, get a shot. After you get your vaccine, we'll give you one for free. We'll give you donuts. We'll give you cheeseburgers. They did PR campaigns. We had our sexual molester of a governor up there telling me what to do. And all that, shutting down your business, it's not essential, changing labels, changing definitions, proving what they can and can't do with the economy. And then go all the way down. Shut down private business because you don't comply. They say you're not going to need certain things, and then you actually need the very thing that you need. And it turns out that Excelsior Pass, I'm sure, was many, many years in the making. And then it just magically has a COVID tab, which is super hilarious. But, calling it betrayal is lightly because that's how it feels to me, at least. I was actually asked this week how basically I don't take some of this personal when you look at the outer world and you're kind of paying attention to stuff and how you not let it bother you. It's just I'm so focused on fighting these people living my life better. But my point is, I'm sorry to ramble, but to bring it full circle, they showed you what they'll do. I mean, Kathy Hochul released that she's going to have the military basically be contracted to fill positions at hospitals because of nursing and all these other shortages, and some of it was caused. I just saw within the first 2 paragraphs of the article, they blame unvaxxed people. If people would get vaccinated, they wouldn't have to have. There's a healthcare emergency crisis. Everything's a crisis because when it's a crisis, the government can just declare arbitrary emergencies now, and they can just fucking suspend everything. So. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, they showed you. It started with enticement. It started with intimidation. It started with churches because you're not vaxxed, and then the churches couldn't they assaulted your religion. So these people showed you what they do, and it's not surprising.
For sure. So, Brian, I prepared you earlier this week that I had a headline that was going to be one of your predictions.
Mm.
Let me know if you recall saying anything about this.
All right.
But this literally, I'm scrolling through, and this came up, and I'm like, dude, come on, how? It's not even an obvious one. This is just a random, not random, but it would have seemed like a wild conspiracy. Headlines: This luxury space balloon lets you glide 100,000 feet above Earth with a cocktail in your hand.
Doesn't it sound like retirement?
It sounds like rich, powerful people taking their sex islands to space.
Oh, can you imagine intergalactic fuck island, dude?
It's literally right there. It's in the works already.
Ah, yeah. Wait till the underwater stuff starts coming. Yeah, we can build stuff, 1,000,000 feet underground. What are you talking about? Yeah, nobody's been here. You got Iron Man suits on punching through lava.
So, Brian, some of the predictions that we've made in the past were just logical trails and logical conclusions of things that we've read. Mm-hmm. This, my friend, is a masterpiece of a prediction. That's insane. Do you remember a while back? Do
you remember what I said about this? How?
Something about all these rich, powerful people in Celium or something on this big space circle, space ring or something.
Yeah, they got a movie about it.
Jesus. Hollywood makes the movies that craft the narratives.
I can't wait for Leonardo to
see a movie.
Could you imagine scrolling Instagram in like 2 more years? Boom. Yeah, I took the girl on a date. Like, how do I compete with you, Drake? How? It was baseball fields and chicks, and now it's intergalactic glass floors on hot air balloons. It's only 100,000 feet. Do you know that's higher than planes fly, right?
What is it? 3 to 4 times higher, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never left the ground.
I think a plane is about 20 to 30,000 feet, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more. I'm not a pilot, obviously. Do you remember? I think it was a while back. I think it was Laura Ingraham said something to LeBron James, something along the lines of "Shut up and dribble." Do you remember this? It was a whole thing. She was racist and whatever.
Yeah, and then she came out and spoke against Kaepernick,
well, obviously she just hates black people.
And then I do believe that when she outspoke about something else, they were getting her, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this seems wildly similar. Headlines: Whoopi Goldberg snaps on LeBron James. Promote the vaccine or shut up about everything else you preach. Oh, that's interesting.
Sounds like you took a whip in there.
I wonder if he'll be offended by that. I mean, is that not the same thing? You disagree with me, so shut up and dribble, right? That's the same. It's the same thing. I mean, she's black, so it can't be racist, but
LeBron's anti-vaccine.
I don't even know. He just hasn't been very vocal about it. I don't know if he's anti-vax. I mean, it would, statistically, a lot of the black community is not pro-vaccine, but he just hasn't been super vocal about it. I mean, what do you expect him to do? What does he have to do? Commercials like all these stupid late night hosts? Does he have to do Broadway show tunes about it? I mean, come on, just let the dude. I don't know. Maybe he is against it or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know.
He could be fucking double vaxxed and a booster shot for all I know. What difference? You know what I mean? Okay.
Well, I mean, this shows at like some point that like they're going to eat their own when they've run out of enemies, right? That's kind of like the idea of power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it's not surprising. I mean, we're seeing, and I also feel like the age of the influencers is upon us. It's apparent with TikTok, right? Because a bunch of people can post, like, that's super apparent of that. And celebrities are kind of dead. Like, celebrities are actually hijacking the things that kids do in their basement. You know what I mean? Like, celebrities aren't coming up with like cha-cha dances to, these songs that are 10 years old. Like, that's not what celebrities do. Celebrities actually are given a script and are followed a script, which is probably why, it's obviously apparent, especially with sports. I think this really shows that at some level, I don't want to say it's the ego of these guys that are like, because there was something about Rogan this week as well, but it's like these guys that are like athletic and like basically like the sports celebrity style, that they get notoriety from the sports ring and arena. These people are like obviously anti, leave me alone. And I really wonder if that's because these men understand and women understand like the sacrifice you have to put in to be at something really good and really good at something in particular. And when you take health and athletics to like extreme ability, you understand that no structure maybe like honestly, if you were to give like, let's take Tom Brady. If you were to give Tom Brady to a doctor, they'd probably be like, yeah, he probably shouldn't do any of this shit, like it would go against like some woke doctor or some woke judge, you know, like it's really like basically I guess I'm saying these players' lifestyles are obviously in a opposition to the government at the core essence, because everything's about discipline and self-dependency, and you have to stay disciplined, you have to go to bed, you have to eat healthy, you have to go to work, you have to work out. It's not the government picking you up, driving you, it's you. I mean, how many, we always hear about them, that's what makes them famous, right? Rappers and athletes, and you know, rapper go to the league, like 2 Chainz said, like all these awesome stories you hear about gangbangers basically becoming billionaires like Jay-Z. How great, even though he struggled. But he always talks about, I had to walk here, I had to remember my rhymes, or like all these people that have to walk a mile to the basketball hoop, and you're waiting for the government to do it for you when they showed you they'll replace you with the military. I want to say one prediction right now, because I think it's true really soon. If it's not automation, it will be the military taking jobs nobody wants. Because everything, wait for the next, if New York State is going to employ a employment crisis, they can do anything. I mean, it basically extends COVID's crisis as well, right? Because they can tie them together. Oh, the only way we can make sure everybody's vaccinated and safe and clean is if they're regulated by the government and the military, for that matter. It sounds like a soft takeover of your country, but what are you going to do when there's undercover, basically, like National Guard members in McDonald's uniforms cooking your fries and burgers, and you don't even know? Because it's a state of emergency, and we have the military in every sector of our economy.
That's probably an extreme example, but I get what you were saying.
No, I don't think it's extreme if they're going to take over healthcare. I was sitting down personally. I got finished working. I sat down at McDonald's. I'm like, I'm going to grab a couple cheeseburgers. Sat down. I went inside, relaxed, you know. Guy came up to me. He's like, do you want a job? $17 an hour. You can, like, start tomorrow, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how long? I mean, at some point, the guy could be like, contract his business to the government. They're just government contractors. It's like a 1099 form. You hire a homeless guy. You know, like, the government showed you what they're going to do, man. I fully believe if it's not the automation at Tops and McDonald's and the easy scans and all these things, if it's not that, it's going to be the military. You just won't even know. Police, first responders, police, firemen, like all these people will be employed now. I
would not be now. When you start talking about like police and firemen and stuff, I would not be surprised at all if that happened. I could absolutely see that. They're
public utilities, right?
I mean, we want to defund the police, right?
Yeah. So what? You can have the military run it, because that's what you're getting.
We already fund the military, right? So why not just keep the military instead of having them all over the other countries? Why not just have them set up bases in the States, and then they could just, you know, patrol and
keep everybody safe?
I don't think that's far off at all. I could see that, absolutely. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I could see it.
Dude, people said the police have been militarized. We're literally militarizing our healthcare system physically. Like, there's physical military taking my blood pressure. The military. Now factor in, you said you opened this podcast with red flag laws. Imagine telling a military doctor that I'm a little down. Do you own guns? Have you ever been asked that at a doctor's office? Because I have. I've been asked that.
If you have guns?
Yeah, that's come up.
I think you have told me that.
At the doctor's office. You know what? It was my kid's doctor.
I think you did. You might have talked about that on the show. That sounds familiar.
That's lunacy. I told the doctor I'm not answering it. She crossed it off, didn't even answer. Good. And I walked over, I looked at her paper, and it was crossed out. I asked her, I'm not answering that. Why do you care? Gotta make sure everything. Yeah, I'm not answering that. Okay.
I'm going to start asking her a bunch of random questions. Are you sexually active? Excuse me? I'm sorry. I thought we were asking inappropriate questions right now.
But for real, if we're, we're talking slippery slope, man, right? You started this podcast with this. Imagine telling your military doctor that you don't know is the military. Right, because it's an emergency. We just have to employ. There's an employment crisis. It doesn't matter who these people are. It doesn't matter that your doctor's a pedophile. We just need people in here to take care of people.
And of course, we created the employment crisis.
No, we didn't. Classic state of emergency caused by the state. I'm going to enact authoritarian power. I will not trust policies that empower authoritarians. I will not follow science that empowers authoritarians, and I will not believe in words from authoritarians. Everything can be phrased that way now, people. So enjoy it. Enjoy it before it's turned around. Sorry, Dave.
CNN recently had an expert on, and he said a couple of interesting things. Now, the expert is an expert in cults. He's a cult expert, which I don't know how you become a cult expert.
Isn't it weird that news has a cult expert on? Like, hey, what can we learn from this guy so we can have
I'm sure they were asking him plenty behind the scenes.
Thank you for the 50 following at December 1773.
Headlines. Cult expert explains how anti-vax tactics are similar to those used by cults. He brought up only 2 points. This expert could only think of 2 things, and I'm going to name these things. You tell me if these 2 things that he brought up, this cult expert, are more for anti-vaxxers or more for the vaccine crowd.
Okay.
Number 1 thing he brought up, control information.
Oh, that's weird.
The anti-vax crowd is controlling information right now. The people at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
the White House,
companies,
the military,
the White House, the military, CNN, the media. You're telling me these are the anti-vaxxers controlling. Not only that, but if you say the wrong thing on YouTube or on Facebook you get this little box in the COVID and you get fact checked and all this stuff, and your post this may not be seen by. And on YouTube, your video will just come down entirely if you say the wrong thing. They'll delete your channel. They don't care.
It doesn't happen.
We've had discussions on this program about Facebook coordinating with the government about controlling information. And this cult expert, who's obviously not an expert at all, comes on CNN and says, ooh, the anti-vax crowd is controlling the information. Shut up. This guy looks like such a doofus, too. Hate this guy. Hope he gets COVID.
Kobe.
So, without leading the witness, what would you say? Would you say it's more anti-vax crowd, given the argument I've presented, which was much better than his stupid-ass argument? Or would you say it was the pro-vax crowd? Mind you that only one of these crowds is mandating a vaccine. The anti-vax crowd is just saying, I don't know, I'm just not going to get it. You do whatever you want to do.
It's weird. I wonder if that cult leader was taking billions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies to promote big signs.
Isn't Joe Biden's mandate more drink the Kool-Aid than anything you've ever heard? Drink the Kool-Aid. You have to. Take the vax. Take the vax. You have to. You have to do it.
You're not going to be forced to take it. Any business that has more than 100 people.
And
what? It's like every business that I apply at.
So, I mean, all right. CNN guy, number 1, you shut up. You're an idiot. Number 2, the second thing he brought up, fear tactics. Do you recall the President of the United States of America being on national TV recently, controlling information, talking about this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated? I'm sorry, how many anti-vax people have been on the news lately talking about how the COVID people are going to get everybody sick? Who's using fear tactics? Anti-vax crowd or the mandate people? Dave,
we could go. You know what's so awesome, man? Like, this article paints everything wrong with journalism, right? I think it was last week or the week before you talked about how they know how to do journalism, right, when it matters or when they want to. If they really, I mean, they're showing, right, like, look at this polarity, and you were taking it, right? You're taking their polarity and showing the opposite of, like, well, you do the same exact thing, right? So you would think you would get these two on the news, right, to talk.
Right. Right. Why didn't CNN call me and say, hey, we got a cult expert coming on. You want to debunk his stupid points? What a dumb idiot. This guy sucks. This is why I'm not allowed on the news. I'll call him a dumb idiot. I'll say he sucks, and then I'll hang up the call.
Yeah, we'd probably also be like Epstein didn't kill himself.
Epstein didn't kill himself. Just blank out the call. We out.
And Joe Biden definitely won the election.
We're just gonna start doing that. Yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself. Cult expert. Who the hell is a cult expert? How many cult experts did they comb through before they got this guy? How many cult experts are there? 2?
Yo, it's so cold too. The journalist that asked Bill Gates a question, I'm pretty sure she asked him, "Did you learn anything from, Epstein?" Because obviously he was super successful to have, like, I don't know, an undercover pedophile island. But he and that's when he was like, "Well, he's dead." So but it's so funny that that chick wanted to know the level of flex that Epstein had on Bill Gates, dude.
It was a lot. He has it on everybody. That's why we've talked about it on the program. He has Bill Clinton in a dress hanging in his foyer. That doesn't happen unless you got some pretty big pull.
And for people who don't know, I'm pretty sure that guy's I actually 99% sure the artist that did that Bill Clinton thing has done the one with George Bush playing with 2 little like Jenga towers.
Yep, I know.
He has one on Reagan. He probably has one on Trump. But it's like this guy is like, he's done it for a couple of presidents. But
anyway, that's all I had. But I saw that earlier. That got me fired up. It was a video clip. I don't recommend you watch it. It was pretty standard CNN. And this is why people say journalism is dead. The guy had no pushback at all. He just, you're the cult expert. Trust the science, right? Trust the experts.
Yeah, trust the cult science. Trust science.
Trust the cult expert.
We just have to sacrifice your kids so that we can make vaccines with them to give them to you so you don't die from a virus that may have been made in a lab.
This is why you don't just trust people. People are... Because that's why. It's not that I don't trust science. It's that it's performed by people, and people are flawed, and science can be flawed. And I do trust science. I trust plenty of science that is pretty set in stone. But what I don't do is trust science that's 3 months old that we clearly changes every day. We don't know yet.
Or the news that talks to a cult leader about supposed other cults.
Controlling information. The guy goes onto a media source to talk about controlling information to knock anti-vaxxers and tell them that they're controlling information. It's the most insane thing I've ever heard. It's ridiculous.
Through how many prediction? I don't know what we would call it. Predictiontainment. How many people? Percentage of the population? How many people do you think actually relatively pay attention? 10%.
Oh, yeah, that's lower than I was going to say. 10% would be, maybe. I was going to say 20. Is 20 high?
No, there's 300 million, we'll say, to make it easy. So 20% of 300 is what?
Is it 20? I don't know if I think it's 20%. Look, I mean, regardless, it's relatively low. So what do you, I mean... What you're saying is the other 80% are just going to hook, line, and sinker, don't care.
Yeah, well, if that's the only piece of news you see that day, or like in a week's time span.
Yeah, people watching that, they're not thinking what we're thinking. They're not following the stuff we're following. So they're, these anti-vaxxers are controlling information. This cult expert says it.
Yeah, it's so crazy because Stan Lee, famous, brilliant guy over at Marvel, he always had a saying that every comic could be somebody's first comic. So even if the comic is this, because if people who don't read comics, they do parts. It will be like 7 different issues to tell one whole story. So they got to chop it up. But in each story, they have to relate to the other stories and push it forward still. So it's like your level of storytelling has to be detailed, because especially in a comic, it's constrained, right? Small panel, all the way the art is. But the point is, like, you have to portray this information as fresh and that they're going to absorb it and understand the whole history and storyline. So for them to just, it's so funny, they call Christianity a cult and all religions a cult, and then the media will relish in a cult leader. to tell you how they control information. Brilliant. It's really, I believe you would call this Shakespearean, to be honest with you.
So to go back to the Stan Lee point, though, in this instance, referring back to the other things, that's what the journalist's job is. It's to refer you back to other things. So you go, maybe he's not 100% right. At least to give you some type of in your mind, so you at least have to think about it. People don't have to think about it. They what? Cult expert says so. Oh, CDC.
Well, but I mean, seriously, too. Like, I thought of this the other day too. The only reason that Facebook even got involved with the politics, you remember when Trump got elected, and it was like, oh, you can ban Trump supporters without them even knowing everything. It was like the real battle for information on the social media. We experienced it so fast. It wasn't even funny, people. So fast. And now here we are, military-industrial complex and misinformation, all the communist talking points, man. It's perfect. It's really like very quickly you experience this. But I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get back to it. No, but fuck, man. Yeah, no, they control. They obviously,
Little birdie is not pleased right now.
They control information. It's obviously apparent, and I lost it, man. I tried too hard. Sorry. I'm sorry, people. I failed you.
Ryan is jealous.
Oh, here. Okay, I'm back to it. No. Do you remember that? You can banish Trump supporters and all this stuff. It's like No, I still lost it. Go ahead.
The suspense is killing me. I thought you had it.
It's right there, dude. You have no idea. It's so hard. This house is plagued, bro, with shit.
Ghosts. I used to live in those apartments.
Yeah, I think it is. See shit.
For sure. At least each complex has had one hanging, for sure. At least one.
I helped the little old lady out of here. She blessed me with God and shit. She had a cross on her door. I'm like, oh my God, man. She was a little sweet old lady. Came out, asked me. She was all masked up and had babushka.
Old Polak.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you call me, a Guido here? I still think. I'm trying to think about where I was going.
Don't worry, Ryan. We have all day. We have all day, Ryan. Is it in your show prep? Did you check your show prep?
No, this is like a spontaneous. Maybe that's why it's so hard to figure it out. Because it's really telling. We experienced, I remember specifically in 2016, right after Trump was elected. That's what it is. Facebook wasn't initially in the fight for politics, which is so crazy, until Donald Trump came, right? And now that Biden, because I was going to ask you, was the only thing that has changed from last year or 2 years ago is the fucking president. It's the only thing that's changed. Well,
that can't possibly be the only thing.
It's the only thing!
It's they would never be worried about such a thing.
David, it's the only thing. The people that got bigger with more power of government, that gained more seats of government, reached for more power and spent more money and are spending everything else and encouraging all this. And we're seeing this causing crises from government crises to begin. There's a crisis of government. How do we...
Are they crises or are they crises?
Ooh, crises. But Facebook initially was not involved in politics. It was all free on the information. AJ, Crowder, all these people that are big and controversial, Milo, they all were dominating the space, right? And then Facebook's like, well, we got to kind of combat because Trump won and we lost the information war. Dude, they didn't think the media... They didn't think that the narrative in the media could be toppled until Trump won in 2016, and that's why they had to paint the narrative that Russian bots stole the Facebook election and all this. That's why they helped pave some of that, is to cover their ass, to make you not realize how powerful it was, so that they could openly regulate it with clear points of combating misinformation with social media, right? Social media is going to consort with the elected government. What? That sounds awfully social to me. So that they what? Get government funding? Once again, I remember saying, will there be a board of military people sitting in at Facebook to direct it? I joked about this, a council of Facebook, that they have a PR person there. Are they going to do it? A crisis? It's a crisis, social media crisis. It's destroying our kids' crisis. I seen that today this week. Oh, Instagram's ruining our kids. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google. The fuck out of here. We know it's ruining our kids. We all allow it, but because we don't understand this thing. It's too big and part. We're slowing the Matrix down, which is supposed to be coming out. Keanu Reeves probably killed people to make that movie. All right. That was my thought. Facebook initially wasn't involved in political discussion until Donald Trump won, and then it became clear that the average person in their car driving around with a few hundred views can change their local community and the way the people vote. And I say that because I know that I did that. So it's real. It's all real. And it all works, and they know what they're doing. We prove it every week. So, yeah, that was the point.
Let's get into a quick conspiracy. Based on that point you just made, do you think, conspiracy, remember, the Democrats, in a plan to have a long-term ability to win continuous elections, because Democrats know they don't poll well. They know they don't. They see polls. They have internal polls.
Well,
they have accurate internal polling. I promise you, they know the truth.
Yeah, and they poll very well in the cities because that's where blah, 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 right? Oh, we know, and that's probably where they have honest and fair elections within those districts.
So they knew they were going to lose the 2016 election. Stay with me. Hillary Clinton and the campaign paid the Russians to steal the election on Facebook, right? I just had a flashback about this. It was AOC grilling Mark Zuckerberg on the floor, asking him how much he knew and when was he aware of the misinformation that was spread. This is her terms, her talking points that have turned into the mainstream narrative. When did he learn about political campaign ads that were spreading misinformation? And when did he learn about the Russians, spreading misinformation through political Facebook ads and all this? What if they did all this on purpose to get to a point where Facebook could control the information? So they could fairly win an election in 2020, in 2024, 2028.
Well, David,
that's not crazy. That's not crazy to think they would do that. Would you, as the Democratic Party, would you throw away a Hillary Clinton presidency to get 4 years of Biden and then 4 years of somebody else a little bit further to the left? And then 4 years of somebody else a little bit further to the left? Mm. You're controlling the information now, right? Do
you remember when Trump said we'll have a president for life? Is that what they meant? A presidential party for life. We'll have a president, all right, because it's not the president, right? What if it's all, remember the conspiracy world? It's all, oh yeah, the people behind the scenes. Google's one of the wealthiest organizations in all of human history, and the very party that tells me to hate the rich and tax them and take all of their money, they're giving them the keys to the kingdom. Pandora's box, like you just perfectly described, David, in your little conspiracy window that seems so true.
Free and fair elections is what which is really the main point of this, is that we have free and fair elections, and that 2020 was the most secure election of all time.
Even though that the post office was spying on rioters for January 6th.
That's weird. They can just use the military now because it's an emergency.
Crisis.
Anyway, before we get any further down conspiracy rabbit holes, because I can create conspiracies all day, because quite frankly...
That's so great, though. Like, it's... I really wonder if you go back to that time frame when they were grilling Mark Zuckerberg and all the words that they used, if we actually see them now printed for the millionth time and they're ingrained in our psyche like hashtags, and we actually believe the bullshit and all of the lies that they've connected to that through one simple word of, we are going to consort with Facebook to combat, quote, misinformation, unquote. There's a reason. They know what they're doing. Shakespearean English. They know how to alter words and change their meaning in real time.
I'd like to honestly, I'd like to go back and watch some of those hearings, because I bet we're going to see some shit that, yep, that looks right. We see it
in
now.
hindsight, you show their teeth. You know, I mean, if you see that with the Fauci and Rand Paul hearings, for example, if that's like, that was only a few months. Imagine going back during the Trump administration when they were grilling some of those.
Well,
like, honestly, I remember one particular when they were doing the Supreme Court about RVW in particular. So that is now coming up to the bench shortly, I guess. But
so we're about 40 minutes into the show, Ryan.
Yeah, so
my GoPro battery is, I don't know where it's at, but I bet it's low. So
all right, I'm just gonna put a couple points I thought I really had. I'm really gonna be fast. These are gonna be
points.
Hold on. I don't know if you guys seen, but there was a meme this week of a guy getting forcefully masked in Australia.
I mean, to be fair, if he didn't have it on, he had it coming.
Outside at an anti-mask, anti-jab rally.
Yeah.
Mileage tax in vehicles. I've been seeing that thing. Build back better. What do you expect? Something I was thinking about. Everybody on the right is talking about how battery systems and all this technical power. Something they're not taking into account, conspiracy, is that they don't want people driving. They want big buses that are electric powered to drive you wherever they want on the hours that they say, while they drive biodiesels off fucking corn oil that you eat at the McDonald's that they give you for free. So that's a conspiracy, but it's highly possible, and that's, I believe, truly what these people want, in my opinion. But the battery technology, I've heard it multiple times, because Biden's Build Back Better thing and the gas tax and all, they're showing their hand. They're telling you that if you drive gas, we're going to tax you out the butt. And on top of it, there's going to probably be a battery tax. When everybody's charging in, you're going to have higher battery.
No. You get incentivized. You get taxes back for buying electric cars.
Okay, I'm going to go full conspiracy. This is why they really want to get rid of oil, because it's just like this beer. Okay?
Delicious to drink.
No, there's only 12 ounces. There's 12 ounces, that's it. That's all I can buy at a time. That's all my car holds. Now, I know batteries are highly similar. My point is the thing they plug into, right? Because the whole point is, like, when that guy buys that gas, it's in his jug. He spent the money already. It technically is only gaining or losing value based on, he doesn't have to pay. I know he's stuck in the loop, but the idea is he can physically hold gas, right? You can physically hold gas. You have to have a big container. This is
Plastic bags don't work well.
Yeah. But my point is, with batteries, we're all basically just going to plug into an outlet. Well, you can't hold electricity, people. This is another means to an end of control. They don't want us driving our cars and being free with our autonomy. It's clear. Imagine right now if we were in mass public transportation, like a place like New York City, and they said only essential workers could go to work.
Maybe the military could drive you around.
Ooh, yeah. Get a free black panel van.
Military Uber takeover.
So you know what? You know what's funny? I bet you if I were to wake up 3 hours earlier and walk to work, they would force me to get in the car with them. I'm not getting in the car.
Here's the bigger issue, which many reports have come out that have proven this. The batteries are getting better. Yes, they're better. They're way better. They used to get a 30-mile range. Now you get 400 plus on real good ones. But our power grid is not going to be able to handle this. And they're trying to shove electric cars down your throat by, but what is it, 2035?
Right, but you're right, David. But that's if every American that owns a gas car owns an electric car. Cut that number in half. I bet, oh yeah, we can handle it. That's what I mean. Like, the reason they're implementing these things is to restrict the window. The average Joe is not going to be able to afford to go to a Bills game and not going to be able to afford to drive his electric car because the entry value is triple the thing. Imagine spending... I want renewable energy for my grandkids. I really do. But imagine, gasoline's been around for hundreds of years. It's cheap relative for the power you can do with it. Now we're mandating everything with all these regulations, the cost of expense, the entry level. We have to build the technology as we go. It's going to cost money and R&D and revenue. If the average person's not going to be able to afford to buy season tickets at the new Bill Stadium, what makes you think that the average Joe is going to be able to afford the new cars that they mandate at the federal level? And on another thing, the federal government is the largest employer in the whole freaking apple of America. So if they need all of the cars first, you know who's going to get cars before the people, David? The government. Because, the government has to function. Well, and if we only have so many microchips and only so many battery cells, we can only supply our 5 million fleet government vehicles. So we have 5 million left of the average people. So the average Joes have to fight. And then we're going to hear about inequality, right? We're going to hear about, the wealthy are taking all the battery-powered cars. Well, they're the ones that can afford the batteries. Because there's too much for me to afford being the average Joe working a 95, making $70,000, $90,000 a year tops when the car's $400,000 because it's brand new and inflation's out the butt, even though they're spending trillions of dollars in foreign subsidies apparently with their debt ceiling. Obama said in 2000 whatever, raising the debt limit doesn't raise the debt, but it allows them to borrow more for spending. And I've seen the word spending get thrown around a lot in Congress this week when it should be debt, because the United States is 30 trillion something in debt.
It's fine.
Well, maybe we can declare of economic crisis and we'll just militarize, our economy.
Well, if I saw this picture, I thought it was funny. If they're out of money, we can just give them $1,200, and that should hold them over.
Were you looking something up when I was going down conspiracy?
So when you were talking about Joe Biden, he had already announced a while ago that he's going to replace all fleet vehicles in the government with electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm. I remember. We talked about it. That's what made me remember. I mean, Dave, we breathe the automotive industry, man.
For sure. I just had to take training on electric cars, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just driving.
I was going to do some electric cars by 2025, I think.
How many cars does the post office own, dude?
Oh, just a few.
They need them before I do, right? Well, just get in the government one provided by the rich taxpayers.
All right, Popeye. I think.
Oh yeah, dude. Honestly, I like the Saturday vibe, man. I'm on fire. I could do this for like.
I do like the Saturday vibe. What I don't like is the fact that I'm going to have to get a quality camera because I'm pretty confident. If this is a sign of electric cars to come, this battery is definitely not going to hold up.
This is so perfect. David,
we're literally on a time crunch because my one battery failed, so the other battery, which isn't even fully charged, is trying to drag us through an episode. We're 48 minutes into.
By the time 50, we'll go back. But I'm just going to say this, like, our predictions the last few weeks have been very funny and comical and everything, but I know you do the same thing I do. We're not going to other people for these. We're figuring this out, and I hope that at least our followers and watchers and the people that pay attention to December Nation, like, you guys can do it too. Like, this isn't hard, but it's the discussion. So I'm so happy the way you opened it and the way we were kind of end this episode, to be honest with you. Like, I really think it was very condensed about those ideas because it's so important right now. We're seeing it in real time. Like I said, the battle for the internet happened in our lifetime, and we didn't even know what it did until now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
maybe we can. I don't know. We'll talk about it later off air. Maybe we can switch to a Saturday film. I don't know. I agree with you. We get a little extra fired up on Saturdays.
Yeah, well, it's kind of. I think it's because we don't have the time crunch.
Maybe.
So a couple things. I'm gonna blitz through. I know they're gonna be actual deep things. We went really well this episode with one topic, and I want to just keep to that. But I'm gonna blitz through these because I want to just have them on record. There's local rallies against the jab that people that I know, multiple rallies in Niagara Square that people that I know personally set up, ones of friends of distant people went to, and all sorts, healthcare worker rallies, all sorts of stuff locally here. Super awesome to see. I'm glad. Good luck. Good job. Keep fighting the good fight.
Cult members.
MGK got booed off stage, basically, even though he didn't leave the stage, by Slipknot. People were chanting Slipknot at his show. I will be chanting MGK tomorrow to see what happens.
You'll get your ass kicked.
I want to be having a MGK.
I'm gonna have to send Kevin a message later to see if he wants to film next week and for the rest of eternity, because you are going to be
like this.
You're going to be literally killed.
Yo, I hope to see somebody with an MGK mask on. You know, for those who don't know, Slipknot's masked out, and maybe not be a 50-year-old in a mask.
Maybe they had one made. That'd be hilarious.
I always wanted to wear a Hillary Clinton mask or a Trump mask, and like fill him with blood and like just like carve a pentagram on his head and like you get super close to Cord.
Get super Kathy Griffin about it, but all right.
Average Joe. Yeah, just to capitalize one more time, free healthcare is going to be provided. Healthcare as a right will be provided by the military, and you don't want that. We don't want this.
Yeah, geez, I don't know why you would say such a thing.
Huffington Post, USA. I already said that. Never mind. I'm sorry. Huffington Post. New study finds huge perk of getting vaccine after getting COVID.
Wait, what?
That was a real headline.
How would you know the difference?
Trust the science, people.
What? If you get natural immunity from getting COVID and then you get vaccinated and get you already have your antibodies already, right? Am I missing something here?
I don't know, David. Maybe
you already have the antibodies because you had it. Your immune system already knows how to fight it. Why are you getting vaccinated?
Yo, Dave, imagine the thing be like, look, we hijacked the body's natural awesomeness, this godlike ability, and we like made vaccines with it. Be like, oh my God. Be like, but it's not as good as if they just get it and live. Be like, oh, that makes sense because we're not God and we can't make viruses.
But let's be clear. I mean, vaccines, right? Like, vaccines work. I have a general understanding of how they work, and they work. They make sense. But if you already had the thing, your immune system already knows how to fight it. The vaccine would then become pointless.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they only give chickenpox shots to you.
Trump with that.
If you don't have the chickenpox, that's when you get the vaccine, because then you're like, oh. But if you're older and have gotten chickenpox like we have, our generation, when I was your age, we get the shingles vaccine to prevent shingles when we're older. That's the idea, and I understand that and trust that science. But I will not trust these scientists that empower authoritarians. I can't wait to say that at my military court hearing. Because there's going to be a jury crisis, and we're not going to be able to find qualified juries of your peers. So we're going to have military tribunals for the whole movie. And if you've seen Batman the Dark Knight, it's going to be like the Joker and the Riddler and Two-Face being your freaking jury members. You have Two-Face flipping his coin. All right, I'll get off the nerd shit. Yeah, Build Back Better. I can't wait for it. All right, Decembertainment this week. Two things. I listened to a compilation of Donald Trump crushing interviews before he was even close to being president, like from the 80s to the early 2000s. Couple things. He always referenced faith, family, being sober, and just trying really hard. And he always talked about understanding that it's hard for the average person. At least in this compilation. But it was multiple occurrences, multiple things. And like his focus and drive. Very bright man. Very, very bright man. I bring it up because one of the comments was the greatest thing ever. It's like, this guy should run for president. Everybody would really love him. But he's on fire, man. Like, you saw people, like, engage with him. Like, it was beautiful. It's like, God, man. The amount of potential we have as people is really empowering. I really thought about it. Another Decembertainment here. I went to I went to a friend fire, like, closeout. It was a mass COVID spreading event outside by a 400-degree flame that was nearly burning trees. But besides the fact, I felt very fortunate to have good friends and long-term friends, and I hope everybody can find that stuff because it's not easy. And I understand that I might be luckier than others, but my point is, like, I was really enjoying the simple things this week, and in particular last night with my childhood friend group, that I'm grateful for God for them. But my real Decembertainment to go even further, being grateful for God that I'm grateful that I'm alive. But John, in our Decembertainment, can directly link his ancestors to the dudes that came over on the Mayflower and colonized the country and did all this crazy stuff. Well, so, I, John, also have a founding father family member.
You imperialists. What is this?
I was just like eating you with my paper.
Oh, weird. Go on.
What's funny is my actual media family, like my mom's family and my father's family, like where I get my blood from right immediately, are new to this country relatively, like the 1900s, right? My family, my father, my actual name's only been here for a little over 100 years. So like, but my mom's family, I can trace them back to like the 1200s. Now, I know I have a lot of fact checking and all these other things, but my sister and I, we were looking through it. But I'm only bringing it up because what originally got me questioning is like, I really appreciate, once again, I'm grateful for the things I have. I know everybody can't do this, and I feel sorry for those people, but I'm grateful for it. But I asked my mom, because she always said we have Native American in our family. Okay? And there's only 1 or 2 ways, maybe 4, that you can get Native American in your blood. They obviously all involve fucking. But
HIV. Blood brothers.
Well, I'm just meaning it at like, because it made me really wonder, like at what time in history in America did my ancestors sleep with Native Americans? Because in my knowledge, that is not in my immediate family tree. So I asked my mother, who did you hear this from? And she said, my mother. Okay. I said, when was your mother born? She said 1930. Okay. So I did quick math, right, David? Let's say her mother and father lived 100 years and died on the day she was born. If they were, or like 60 years or 50 years. I'm like, man, they're like close to the Civil War. My mom's mom was raised by people that were here during the Civil War Reconstruction era.
Yeah, I mean, potentially that's, yeah.
It's not potentially. I proved it. I have a relative that died on June 9th, 1776. Through their, like, whatever cousin. But we're technically, like, once again. But when I asked my mom, where'd you get this from? My mother told me. So it's like, if her mom knew that story, where did she hear it from? Because there's only a few ways to get Native American. So, like, she was born in 1930. She died in 96. Her parents were born in 1900 in America. You know what I mean? So it's like after Reconstruction. So that means my grandmother's grandparents were alive during the Civil War in this country. Now, I bring it all up like it all sounds dramatic, and I make it dramatic because I don't have grandparents now. She died when I was very young. My other grandfather died before I was born. And my mom's dad died when I was about 9 or 10 years old. The only grandmother I have, I don't see her a lot. She lives a little further away, but we have a good relationship relatively. And I've yet to ask her this story. But something that I always take pride in is like not having family history. Because it makes me appreciate, like, I think that's why I like history in general. Mm-hmm. Or knowing the past, because I don't have family past. I have to like make a family mythology. Like the story that we have as a family is one of like myth. It's not a foundation. And when my sister and I were going through this weekend, I felt so empowered, man. Like, but to see like some of my ancient roots, once again, I know I have to fact check. I know there's layers to this, but initially, just the story that is told, right? Just the verbal myth, right? That, it could be a lie. It could be a family lie for 100 years. Because once again, how do you get Native in your blood? There's only a couple. It wasn't during the Civil War, was it? Was it before the Civil War? Like when what? Like so? Like when it made me think, how long has my family been in this continent? If my grandmother knows the story. My grandmother died when she was 60. She could have lived another 20 years. I would have been in my mid-20s. I could have heard these stories from her mouth and asked her this. So on another thing, because it's a shame my grandparents died young because I was born from young parents. So I could have literally been shaped by people who were shaped by people from the Civil fucking War. Once again, I said every time on this podcast, my dad was born before black people could vote. It's super awesome. So it just made me feel humble, empowering. It really did.
The context on that statement matters.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
not that it was super awesome that black people couldn't vote. That is not what Ryan is saying, just so we're clear.
I meant that it's super awesome. My dad is like a dinosaur, that he's like my dad basically is like a museum to me, because when I look at him, I understand, I appreciate that he is a person with experience of time. And time is the only thing we cannot manufacture, people, obviously. Talked about how this place, this podcast and everything, we appreciate each other's time as currency. I appreciate people spending it with us, but is that a less white beverage?
I don't know what it is. Nolan just came back from a birthday party and somehow I got this handed to me.
It's a root beer float one.
It's a root beer float. It's
not an actual root beer float. We got one of those fountain drinks. We made our own drink. So one of the options was root beer float.
Right? Isn't this a thing that people like listen to?
ASMR.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. You can sort of see Eve on camera. She has a bat shirt on.
Behind your drink.
That is actually very satisfying. I understand why people watch this now.
You do?
What's up, Noah?
Wave.
I don't think you're supposed to be on camera, Nolan.
Oh, get out of the way. Hurry, run.
That's like a YouTube thing. You can't have kids on there.
Strike.
He doesn't exist, though.
He's 18.
Now we're banned. Shut it down.
What's
All
up,
right,
man?
everybody. I'll let you go. Dave, enjoy your weekend. Yeah.
All right, that's
Everybody
all I want to know. Hey, and we got pumpkin pie milk in the fridge.
And like that milk from Country Fair.
The good milk we like. We got 3 of it. So there's
Don't
pumpkin
be
pie
jealous,
milk waiting.
but
Yeah.
I'm going to go get some
All right.
apple cider from
Have
the
fun.
cider mill.
Love you.
Oh, are you?
Make sure to cut me out.
What?
I swear to God. Okay, Nolan. No, what he said.
Oh, all right. Love you.
Oh yeah. I thought it was just editing.
I did too. I didn't know it was so recording.
I think I could see why people would listen to that. It is really satisfying.
I think it's called AMSR or something.
Something like
It's like people get right up on the mic and go, Yo, does Nolan have the poppy things, right? It's like bubble wrap.
puppets, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, they
just
got
like
puppets.
they go back and forth. My daughter looked at me, she was popping it. She's like, Daddy, do it. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. This is so cool. She's
I don't
like,
get the poppets.
She was like,
I
is
don't
it
understand.
satisfying? I was like, oh, it kind of was satisfying.
I don't know. I didn't understand the poppets. Fidget spinners I kind of got because you could swing them around, pop them on your fingers, do tricks. I don't know. That I think is that's our new in right there, Ryan. We could have quite the TikTok following.
That should be the ending of the intro. Just AMSR. All right, let's button this shit.
I
We're
think
off the
the
rails.
camera's still going, quite frankly.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, David. I appreciate it for your time. This has been Dave and Ryan with December 1773. Appreciate everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook.
Those are all of the big tech platforms that we are on, and let's be honest.
For the record, I trash talk every week, but I promote them. So I'm looking for my check.
It's a 1-for-1.
Anyways, if you like the video, share the video, please. And yeah, go Bills, go Corey Taylor, and I'll see everybody on Monday for the premiere. I'll be there 7 Eastern at night, not during the day. And
Yeah, come on. We don't have a 7 a.m. podcast, people.
Not yet. Not yet.
Jesus.
December mornings.
Oh, God. More
Live on 5. We'll fucking
Wake
hear-
Up with Ryan, December 1773. Misogyny.
We'll put like echoes everywhere. Wake up, with Alright, I'm gone.
I don't know what's happening right now. The end of this show has gotten out of hand.
It started with your AMSR sensory overload. I'm like oddly turned on erotically.
Ryan has gotten many dopamines from this.
Alright, I'm gone. Thank you, everybody. Ryan, talk to you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
I hate you.